Hello, everybody. Of course, this is Ms. PATU LOCA, and thank you so much for joining me on Google Plus as well as YouTube to catch me up on the Get Inside Me talk show. Today, I'm going to be doing it on my own. It's usually a panel of people. Anyone is welcome to join. Just as long as you have a Google account, you can join me in on any of the show topics. But because it's unpredictable today in Florida because we have some serious thunderstorm going on, I didn't want a situation where while recording and taping, lose any type of electricity or whatever, and then, because at the end of the day, the show must go on. Okay, so today's topic is going to be about our relationship regrets holding you back. I found this article to be quite interesting, and it came from eHarmony, this matchmaker by the name of Ashley, and I saw it streaming live last week. And when I was watching it, it made me think, like, well, not made me think. I had a lot of conversation. I've been having a lot of conversations with women and men of all different types of backgrounds, of all different types of integral type relationships. May they be married, may they be engaged, may they be in love with two or three different people at the same time. It's all of these things that boils back down to the question of, are your regrets holding you back? Like, our regrets or past scenarios or situations that you've gone through in your relationship, are you finding yourself repeating the pattern with different people, different faces and names and things like that? So that's what made me decide to bring it to the forefront. So a lot of you guys, if you guys would like to have this topic to be brought up again at a later date with an actual panel to hear their side, I would be glad to do so. But today is just me by myself. So on the article, Miss Ashley is talking about how basically in a relationship, you may not know it or you may not realize it, especially if you're a person who's going back and forth with the same old, same old. Is it always a situation where you find yourself repeating your relationships? Even though the breakups might be different, even though the scenario might be different, is it something in you? And if so, how can you move forward? How can you make sure that whatever the issue is, especially when it comes to yourself, because it takes two to tango, to get it right and ready for the next relationship when you are ready, emotionally, mentally, physically, and all that great stuff, to move on and move forward into the next relationship. So what she gave some very valid, good points. And of course, I don't mind, as usual, to share my thoughts and views of my personal experience. But the first part she says is, don't deny your mistakes. And what she speaks about don't denying your mistakes is denying past mistakes is like pretending you don't have a broken arm. You may learn to live with the pain, but it'll never set properly and will likely cause more trouble over a long haul. So getting out of denial is really the first step. I can relate to this because, as a lot of you guys as well, in situations where in a relationship where it ended up badly, or even it just ended up because you both had mutual agreement that it's not working, you have to come to a point where everyone has a role that they play. And like I'm a strong believer that you have such thing as her truth, his truth, and the real truth. And in order to get to the bottom line of figuring out where you fell or where you dropped the ball in your relationship, so that way you don't do it to the next relationship, and not only relationship with other people, but I found a lot of the good things that she put on here are great ways that you can not only apply it to other relationships, but mainly for relationships within yourself. And I've had situations where I always thought it was my bad. My bad is not until years later, or where you have that time where you run back into that person again and you guys have that conversation of, hey, how are you doing? How's life been? And then you guys replay, or it's always happened where you replay what happened, like what went down in that relationship. And then that's when you realize, like, man, that person saw me like this and that light. When I said or done this, I didn't know it was going to be interpreted that way. And I apologize, and I'm sorry. There's sometimes that person harbors so much resentment and anger towards you. You're like, damn, you're still scorned. So the next step she talks about is make amends, which I totally agree with, and here she states, you may have regrets because there are unsolved issues with someone. Is there someone you need to apologize to? Then really consider making the effort. This was an advice I gave to one of my friends who was going through a situation where he was involved with a girl that he was really in love with, and it didn't work out the way that he wanted it to. And of course, they agreed to move on. But what was holding him back and what was causing him a lot of pain, I would say, and held him back from going into much better, healthier, stronger relationships was because he was still in the denial stage. Of course, is the first thing she brought up, Miss Ashley. And then the hardest part that he was having was trying to find closure, trying to make amends with the situation to move forward. And even though I told him, when it comes to a relationship, you're either going to get two things when you're trying to find amends. Either the person's going to be willing and open to allow you to get your closure, but if not, you have to be open and accepting that not every time you're going to get closure when you need it the most. And it's okay, just as long as you find your way to move forward with it and be okay with not having a closure, because a lot of times you may not need it. Well, yeah, you do need it for some circumstances, but if you can't get it from the person that you need it from, it's not like you can pin them down and make them, forgive you and things. You just can't. So you have to find a way to emotionally, mentally, physically, and all those good things be able to move forward without it. The next step that Miss Ashley, matchmaker from eHarmony, stated: forgive yourself. She says, recognize that regrets is a form of unforgiveness of yourself. Sometimes it's easier to forgive others than ourselves. But releasing yourself from guilt and shame is really the key to moving beyond regret. Personally speaking, I know for me, in a relationship that I had for like 7 years, a lot of this I could apply to that. And the hardest part in that situation was I realized that after that relationship that lasted for 7 years, after that was over, I found myself in dating and in relationships, because dating and relationships, gonna break it down for those people who, relationship is when you're actually, both of you guys mutually agree to be together and form some type of relationship to see where it goes from there. Dating is where you really don't know what's going to happen. You're just taking the time to check out each other and see what happens with that. And I know for me in that relationship, I found myself going through streams of dating and relationships that really was a huge waste of my time, their time, and it was just like time I could never get back. And had I would have known differently, and had I would have been able to go through these necessary steps, and understand that, you're really not fully over it, and because of that, you're like self-punishing yourself a little bit subconsciously without really being aware. You kind of like, you did a little bit of damage to yourself. But, of course, through maturity, through life experiences, you live and you learn. And, of course, I know a lot more now. I wish I would have known everything I knew now when I was younger. It would have made life a lot much easier, but it is what it is. The next one, other than forgiving yourself, is realize you're not alone. Every person you meet in somewhere in his or her own journey of figuring out how to deal with the what ifs and what are that's just part of the game. That's just what happens. And I noticed that a lot of times as a dating diva, and what had me become the dating diva is because I always had a lot of my friends and people who really don't even know me from social media, whatever, hit me up and ask me my thoughts and views. And I realized that realizing the person is not alone in that situation, that was one of the main key components with that person, because they were always fearful of opening up. And I'll admit I was guilty of it as well in certain situations in relationships, that they felt like I shouldn't say anything, I shouldn't complain, and it's almost like it's a shame factor. And it's like there's nothing to be ashamed of. You're human, shit happens, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a part of life, in a sense like that. Now, in the next conversation, we have process it. Process it is when you're talking with good friends or counselor that can help you find clarity, healing, or moving forward. And the thing that I love the most about processing it is, yeah, that's true. Sometimes, especially when you've been a person who's been in relationships with people and you've always find yourself going back and forth with your friends about your thoughts and stuff, you can emotionally, mentally, vampire, like I said, drain the hell out of them, that they get to the point that they're like, I don't care. My biggest suggestion when it comes to a situation like that, I sincerely am one of those people that really believe in counseling, really believe in therapy, because at the end of the day, this is a huge world with billions of people in it, with billions of thoughts, ideas, processes, and everything like that. And it doesn't hurt to have someone who is able to help you examine you, give you the proper tools, and help you re-educate yourself on where you dropped the ball, how to fix it, how to rebound, and all these great things. So yes, it's true, in this kind of economy, it is not easy to find counseling for free, but there are many ways you can. You can speak to your parents, you can speak to your closest friends, you can get free counseling by just Googling it, or you can definitely check out your local churches, your schools for counselors and things, because that's what they get paid for. When you pay your tuitions and stuff, that's what they get paid for. And that's a good way of being able to help yourself move forward in anything, maybe love, relationships, whatever, just anything, counseling of any sort. I would just say that if you do seek therapy, if you do seek counseling in helping you move forward in a situation like this or any other situations, it's pretty much like shopping for clothes. If you're gonna buy something, you're gonna want to buy something that you fit in, you're comfortable with, and you like it. So if you're a person that, as you're going forward and moving forward, trying to find counseling or therapy or whatever, and you don't feel like, oh, I don't feel open enough, this person doesn't bring the me out, allow me to be comfortable in my own skin when speaking to them about my issues and problems, then there's nothing wrong with counseling and therapy shop. Find someone that fits best for you. That's what I had to do, and I realized it made me kind of feel bad in the beginning when I was looking for my perfect fit for me to be comfortable in my own skin to speak about my problems and issues with a therapist. But once I found that perfect fit, oh, it did a great deal. It made it a lot better. And if you're gonna pay the person, you want to pay the person that you feel comfortable being 100% you, real and genuine, and speak on any and everything that's in your mind, in your soul, heart, and all that good stuff. The other thing about outside of processing it, Miss Ashley from eHarmony also made a point that make your thoughts work for you, which goes back to the law of attraction thing that I've spoken before about on other videos. But she basically states, your self-talk, the voice you hear in your head, is a powerful force. Purposefully replace your negative thoughts with positive ones. This by far has to be one of the most challenging, because when you're a person that's been through some things and the relationships or situations in life, may be a job or your goals or whatever, it's not getting to what you want, especially in this economy, it's hard to have that negative thought process and stuff just basically fade away without it getting the best of you and the most of you. It is. But all you need to do is come up with a way, a system that helps you, even in the most negative time, think more positive. What I do, there's a lot of things that make me happy. Like, I actually wake up to music, so I have my alarm clock. I pick music. So far, my favorite song right now that makes me happy when I hear it, even if I'm in a bad mood, is For Real, I'm Happy. So even if I'm in the roughest mood, I play that music. I listen to it. I listen to the lyrics. I even sing out the lyrics. I'm jumping. I'm dancing. Even if I don't feel like it, I am having me a ball. And the reason I'm doing that is because in order for me to change my thought process and my mood, not only do I got to say it to myself, I got to feel it. I got to be part of it. And the only way I can do that is if I put that song on play, I get my little dance song, 'cause I'm happy, and do all that. And then I start laughing at myself mentally, because I'm thinking, you're doing all this just to laugh, just to have yourself a good time, and it makes me laugh. Or even just fake laughing. Like I've said that before in other videos, but that's what I do. I fake laugh, and I laugh so hard to the point that I'm like, I can't believe I'm literally sitting here laughing about what, and then I laugh. Like, watch comedy. Like, there's so many things, and the best thing to help you think positive is surround yourself around positive people, because at the end of the day, energy attracts the same energy. If you're positive, if you're negative, always be around a lot of positive, thought-minded people, because when you're around that, it will rub off. Even if you're speaking about what's bothering you, just don't become one of those emotional vampires where you sink your teeth into them and suck out all the good stuff. You need some of that positivity to remain in that person, so when you want to come back for a refill, you got some. The next one is understand the toxicity of regret. On there, she states, I've read several scientific studies which reveals that stressful thoughts and emotions can trigger diseases causing process in your body. Carrying around regrets not only weighs on your psyche, but also strips your physical health. Personally speaking, I can honestly say that I've had situations in relationships and even things outside of relationships, had really nothing to do with relationships, where I literally stressed myself out to the point that I was losing my hair, I was gaining and losing weight, my body was inflating. I even had situations, well, my hand's kind of inflated now because, as you guys know, I'm a diabetic with high blood pressure, so I retain water now. So there's days where it's good and there's days it's bad. So today's a bad day. So that's why I'm kind of poofy today. But outside of that, my hands would look like, I don't know if you guys remember Popeye, how he used to blow, well, old school Popeye, he used to blow air into his hands, and his hands would become like a balloon. And no matter what, every time I would go to the ER, the hospital, see my doctor or whatever, and I would show them, and they would look at me like, there's really nothing I can do, or there's nothing we can do, because at the end of the day, it's stress. If you learn to alleviate stress and stop stressing yourself, you can be okay. And I can honestly say, by me stressing out so much, it definitely brought on my high blood pressure so much younger than I should have had. And of course, as you guys know, I've said videos before that I'm working on my stress to be able to get myself off of dealing with diabetes and high blood pressure. But but really, when you allow stress and when you allow a lot of things that really, in all honesty, you're human, you can't control, take over you, it does such a huge damage to you. I've had situations where emotionally and mentally, like, I shut down, and that has to be one of the biggest fears you can ever have happen. I have a friend that's actually 24, 25 that just got hospitalized for a few days because he was overstressed about something that mentally and emotionally it crumbled and shut him down. Like, he just collapsed. And of course, and had a minor heart attack due to stress. Of course, it wasn't about relationships, but it's just about like everyday life. And at the end of the day, like how I always say, when life throws you lemons, make your ass a strong ass margarita, because at the end of the day, with or without you, whether you're living or not, life goes on with or without you. It's all up to how you choose to want to rock it out, is basically how I would like to word it. So when you understand, where she says understand the toxicity of regret, when you understand that at the end of the day, you're only human, you can only do as much as you can. You cannot go back. It's not like Back to the Future where you can go back and switch up things. It don't work that way. So once you understand that and you accept that and don't allow it to take so much toll in you mentally and emotionally and physically and stuff, you'll be okay. In the beginning, yeah, it will be, because you're knocked off your block, you're knocked off your game. But at the end of the day, once you get the ball rolling and everything, it'll do what it needs to do. The next part she comes up with is realize that regrets robs of positive energy. And this can go not only for relationships, it can go for a lot of things. On here she says, wrestling with the pain and anger every day takes lots of energy. It costs you to lose sleep, definitely robs you of peace and of laughter. Personally speaking, I I've had times where I've been so stressed out, maybe a breakup, maybe a situation in life, whatever, that I did become one of those people that allowed my regrets to rob me positively, especially energy wise. And I could say health wise, it really jacked me. It really jacked me up. But then the worst part is mentally. When it really gets into your head mentally, that's like kind of like a mind game that is like a maze. It's like Alice in Wonderland, and it's not easy. When you go through relationships, in and out of relationships, whether you really wanted it to work and it didn't, or whether you didn't know it was going to go to the level that it did and it didn't work out, there's always pieces of you that goes with every single relationship you get into, is what I believe. But if you can make peace with it, you can find a way to not replace the piece that is gone, but find a way to fill in that gap with something worth keeping, something that your heart and soul could feed off of, because that piece of you that you did give away is gone. It's easier. It makes it easier. Everybody in a situation when it comes to these type of topics, I've known people that get over it in weeks, some in months. Some really never get over it until that moment of clarity that comes in, and then they're like, okay, I got it. So it's not like it's a time period where you feel like, okay, now I got this type of thing. It doesn't. But once you realize your regrets and you understand at the end of the day what regret really means, and that is the part you got to go through, you can move on with that. And that's what it's basically about. The next one is identify lessons learned. And this has to be one of my favorite ones. And the reason I say that is because once you find out what the true issue is, what the true problem is, it better helps you understand yourself. It helps you better understand where you went wrong, where the other person went wrong, and how to basically protect yourself from repeating bad, nasty habits. And in that, of course, Ashley from eHarmony says, identify lessons learned. Nearly every experience teaches us something. What insights you can learn that will help you avoid trouble next time around. And I can honestly say, I had a few relationships, more so dating relationships. We're in the dating. We've dated each other for a few weeks, few months, and then the guy just felt like, I don't know, you were just so perfect, but at the end of the day, I just felt like I was always going to be at a distance when it came to you. Like I would only be let in so far. Like at the end of the day, no matter how far or how long we've been together, I just always had the feeling that you would never let me in. And at the end of the day, when I would hear that, especially the last time I heard that from this Egyptian guy I was dating, I was so shocked because I sincerely thought that I already moved on from that I've improved a lot from that. But that showed that was a better lesson to help me, and because I've lived and I had a better understanding to understand that to respect first his thought, respect his opinion. And then the fact that I've heard it before, it had me better understand that, hey, this is a problem. I may not notice that I'm doing it, but I need to find what is it in me that makes me feel like I don't feel safe and secure to be open enough to allow someone fully in, or they feel like I don't allow them in. So that's the part I'm working on right now in my life. But the next one is turn regrets on its head. And basically what that means is make a list of positive things that have come out of the event that you regret. One thing I can say that in my last breakup, the one thing, when I did this list, the one thing I did appreciate about the last breakup was that I found myself overcoming a lot of fears and obstacles that I always felt like and heard from past relationships that I've overcome, especially in the situation that where I don't allow, you know, guys in my past that I've dated in fully. And it made me realize from my last relationship, it's just that I didn't allow any guy to get in. It's just that I had this thing where subconsciously I was picking men that I was dating that I felt like wouldn't go far. The relationship wouldn't mean anything. It's just another dating thing. So because of that, I never really put my all into it. It was just like, you know, exercise. Like, you know, you put a mouse on the wheel, the mouse is gonna run, and that's what I did. So for me, it was like, okay. But it's not until the last relationship I was in, I realized like, wow, you know, it made me because I liked the guy that much. It made me more open, more receptive to understanding not to make that mistake. So now, being on the other side, I realized that it's not that I am not willing to open up towards a guy to allow him to be, you know, into getting to know me. It's more so of the fact that I need to be aware of allowing myself to be around a guy that I can feel secure and stable enough to be that way. And that was a lesson I learned. Now the next and final one is resolve to resolve it. And what she basically, Miss Ashley from eHarmony, is basically saying is regrets don't go away on their own. The healing process requires attention and action. There are no need to be weighed down any longer. Take steps to achieve inner peace. And it's basically about finding that inner peace in yourself to be okay with the fact that, okay, you know, yes, it's true, regrets within myself, within relationships, held me back. But now that I know what the issues are, now that I know and I have the proper tools to do what I need to do, to not only better myself, but to be the person who I want to be when the relationship is said and done, where even if it doesn't work out and you have that situation where you run back into that person you used to date and they tell you who they thought or how they project to you who you were to them, it won't be so bad. So thank you guys so much. Oh, thank you guys so much for the weather not taking you know, making this hard. But thank you guys so much for checking me out, watching the videos and everything. I definitely appreciate you guys so much for doing so. And don't forget to check out the Get Inside Me Talk Show Facebook link. Facebook link is going to be down below in the description box. Don't forget to check me out each and every Sundays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on Google+. And thank you guys so much. God bless, and see you guys soon.